Well, welcome to part 3 of the forgiveness workshop. And we'll start today with some diagrams because we're going to start off on projection today, which is one needs to understand projection to understand forgiveness. I'm sure none of us here project, but it's useful information. So the course says, it's a quote from the course. Let's put this out of the way. Blank. Projection makes perception. So what's all that about? It's saying what we see out there is actually what we've projected out there. Let's see if we can make more sense of this. It's jumped to the wrong diagram. That's interesting. Okay, I just need to go back and select the right one. That's better. Don't know where that one came from. So things are in the way here. I'm trying to get rid of them. That works. So that was the phrase we just saw. Projection makes perception. You might not be able to read this, but this is a quote from the preface of the course, what it says right at the beginning. If you don't know about this, the course came without a preface. And then Jesus was asked, can we have an introduction, a summary? So that was added at the beginning, what it says. It's a summary of course. The world we see merely reflects our own internal frame of reference, the dominant ideas, wishes, and emotions in our minds. Projection makes perception. We look inside first, decide the kind of world we want to see, and then project that world outside, making it the truth as we see it. We make it true by our interpretation of what it is we're seeing. So in the 3-mind model, we've got the sleeping son of God or decision maker who, when it fell asleep, the mind split. It has the choice to listen either to the ego that says the separation is real, or the right mind, that's the wrong mind, or the right mind, which is the Holy Spirit, which says, no, the separation didn't occur. And if I teach you forgiveness, you'll understand that. So let's say, as most of us, we look within and we believe the ego's thought system. And then we project it. So here's the screen of the world. And according to the course, we literally project this world, the universe, the stars, the people. But that's another topic. And here we see some people having some problems. And we see an ego's world of victims and victimizers. And of course, this sits in very well with what's happening with COVID and vaccinations. These themes of victim and victimizers are dominant, but they don't come from the world. They actually come from the mind, because the ego's thought system is victim and victimizer. So when we look out, we see this, and we have to be careful here, and we have to defend ourselves, and our attacks are justified. But it's actually a neutral world, the course says. No matter what's going on out here, whether being vaccinated or harmed by them, it's all completely neutral. So if we continue with the quote, if we are using perception to justify our own mistakes, our anger, our impulses to attack, our lack of love in whatever form it may take, we will see a world of evil, destruction, malice, envy, and despair. So for most of us, most of the time, we're in the wrong mind, the ego mind. We look in first. What we find, we throw out onto a time-space screen. But the course insists, no, it's a neutral universe. So we could have a miracle, which will be to switch from the ego's mind to the other mind that we have. Now we see the same world, two people upset, but the perception we have is the Holy Spirit's, which is people are either extending love or asking for it. So all those people who want to vaccinate us, they're asking for love. Bless their hearts. All this we must learn to forgive, not because we're being, quotes, good and quotes, charitable, but because what we are seeing is not true. We have distorted the world by our twisted defenses and are therefore seeing what is not there. As we learn to recognize our perceptual errors, that is, we put onto a neutral world our thought system, which is a perceptual error. We don't see them asking for love. As we learn to recognize our perceptual errors, we also learn to look past them or forgive them. So here's another definition of forgiveness. At the same time, we are forgiving ourselves, looking past our distorted self-concepts to the self that God created in us and as us. So eventually we'll become like Jesus. There will be no ego mind. It's gone. And every time we look within, there's only one mind left, the Holy Spirit's mind. And so when Jesus walked around, as he's doing now, all he sees is people asking for love or extending it. If he walked around physically, he'd just see everyone as Christ, albeit sleeping. If he attacked what he saw, he would have shifted to this mind, which is no longer God. Any comments on that from anyone?
So what's going on in the world is something we all people in the world have inside us, and we see it now outside of us with all the things that's happening.
We'd see the same visual world. We'd see the same trees. If we were animals, of course, we have different lenses. So the trees may seem a lot taller and thinner, or shorter and fatter. Other animals have a wider frequency spectrum. They could see ultraviolet and infrared. So they would see a foggy haze, the heat haze around objects. So different creatures here would see different forms of visuals. But for the humans, we tend to see the same, unless we've got eye defects. But then what we project onto that will be either the right mind or the wrong mind.
Yeah, but it's the separation from God, some showing the fear that's in our minds, being humans alone from God, and we see this somehow in the world.
Yes.
Collectively.
Yes, this is the collective projection of separation.
Yeah.
And everyone here, unless they're avatars, wants to be separate and play the game of separation because it seems to be so interesting and give us enough lifetimes, we'll make it happy eventually. And then we don't have to go back to God because we've created the happy separation. Well, that's called optimism. Yeah. So yeah, this continues, but the simplicity of it, I like, there's just either that projection or this projection. And we must learn to forgive, not because we're being good and charitable, but because we are seeing what's not true. So that forgiveness is undoing these projections until we can drop down onto this screen and say, they're just asking for my love. As they punch me in the face, they're still asking for my love. I mean, that's the top of the spiritual ladder. And I think you could soon get into a guilt trip if you try to move there too quickly.
If you have lots of, like this week, I've been noticing in myself, I had lots of triggers from the outside.
Yeah.
So that is something that's unresolved in me, not forgiven in me, and that's why I'm triggered from the outside.
Perfect. I'm afraid. Yes.
Yes.
Otherwise, you'd keep saying, Oh, another one asking for love. Oh, another one asking for love. But it's just mirrors. This could be a mirror here as well. Oh, they're showing me what's in my mind, because what's out there is actually in my mind. And this is one of the last things any ego wants to see, of course.
Yeah, I felt that this has been like an intense week for me. So I guess there's more stuff. That's the feeling I have, more stuff coming up for me to see and forgive and just let go of.
And that's the ascension process as well, they say, don't they? That the energies coming in will push up the darkness in you and also in the world, in the big organizations, and we see them flexing their muscles and fighting. And then our dark comes up as well to have a look at. And that has to go before we can be filled up with light. So, the big picture is all these totalitarian governments and bullies are doing us a great favor. Though it's hard to see it at the time.
Do you think so that, see, I get a little bit confused about this because it's like, take for instance the video call with my brother. He sort of was saying, oh, it's fine, the greatest thing that's ever been invented. He didn't actually say that, I'm just exaggerating. And see, I don't think that way. Do you think it's sometimes the opposite, that like he has always slightly intimidated me, and this is my opportunity to say, well, I'm not going to be told what to do by you because I've made up my own mind about things now, It doesn't necessarily have to be a direct mirror, does it?
I agree with you. What the thing for me would be is when we stand our ground and say, this is the way I think, brother, are we doing it in peace or are we attacking the brother? Then it's a mix. And I think it often is a mix, that you're moving forward and for the first time you're speaking your truth and you're standing up, and that's wonderful, but you can't quite say it with peace yet, which is what we have to learn. And I often see in myself and others, like perhaps we've been the nice girl or the nice boy for so long, and then suddenly the pendulum swings the other way, and we get angry and we shout and we speak up for ourselves for the first time. But eventually the pendulum swings back to the middle, and you just say, well, actually, I don't agree with that. And I'm happy for you to think that way. And I think this way. Oh, we seem to disagree. Well, anyway, it's been nice talking with you.
Actually, it was very interesting because when I was talking to him, I wasn't aggressive, and I actually didn't say anything that I know. I just said I didn't want to be around vaccinated people, and that's why I wasn't going to the gym. So I didn't talk about anything, like certainly wouldn't have mentioned ETs or anything. Well, where'd you get this from, Jill? Where'd you get this? Where'd you get all this nonsense from? And it was like, yeah, I don't think I'll say where I got that from. But so I basically was quite, oh yeah, well, that's fine. Let's just see what happens in the world. And then a few days later, he sent me a text message, and it was almost like he could see that he wasn't getting anywhere. So he had to really push his agenda. And he said, oh, I've just come back from 4 days away, really nice, and lots of mask wearing, which really suits me. I've had 3 injections, so I think I'm pretty safe. And I read he said, I read the other day that 42,000 PCR tests had been done, and 42,000, I don't know how, had been proved to be false negative. So he's really pushing that agenda. So, you really should get this vaccine. And I wrote back and said, oh, that's weird, because our PCR tests are actually resulting in false positives. So that's odd, isn't it? And I said, look, I'm really busy. I can't talk. It was a text message anyway. I'm really busy and important because I'm cooking a risotto for some guests that are coming over. And I have got shingles. And I said, and this is all a joke. He would not have taken this seriously. He just knows that's the way. I said, I got shingles probably because I was stressed because of all the bullshit you were talking the other day about the vaccine. Lots of love. Talk to you later.
Oh, no.
And I can feel like that is creating. I'm pushing back, and I'm not doing it horribly. It's just I'm pushing back for the first time in my life, and he is really coming on quite strong. Sorry, I didn't mean to take up all this time, but I think that's not always true, is it? That it's a mirror. Exactly, you're behaving exactly like what you're seeing. It can be that you need to react differently than perhaps you have in the past.
Very true. I think the point the course makes is that if you end up with negative emotions, then it's still something unhealed in you.
Mm.
And what you're describing is probably is a mix, but you sound quite peaceful around it. So yeah, I mean, when Jesus talks, he says, I was a rebel.
Mm.
And I'm a rebel now, and I will tip up the table of the money changers, and I'll do all these things, But I think he did that most of the time with peace, certainly after he woke up. So that's always the red flag for me. If I'm standing my ground, good. But am I self-righteous and angry? Then I've got something to learn.
Yeah, I've been feeling a bit that for me, the troubles I had in the week had a lot to do with I felt the need to set up some limits and be in how do you say, I feel the ascension process is about being a sovereign being.
Right.
I have to be a sovereign being, rule myself and my body. And when I display that out into the world, people get upset.
Mm.
And I think the reason why they get upset is because also I've had a hard time doing it.
Mm.
Could be,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic time to learn forgiveness and speak your truth. And we're obviously going to fail from time to time because it is difficult. I even send things now to my doctor. And what I send to her is stuff from other doctors who teach the complete opposite, And sometimes I say, do you want to hear the summary of the American Association of Doctors and Physicians who are using ivermectin and other things and their protocols? She said, thank you, that sounds interesting. So I slip things in, I also slip them into my MP, who just comes back with words like hoax, nonsense. But there you go. So it's good practice for me, and because I tend to rather be quiet, but I know things. I see people suffering, and I thought, well, I can do some things, and I can learn while I do them. What times we live in, eh? Well, we're gonna have a bit of fun now. I'm going to show you a picture, and I'm going to let you look at it for a few seconds, and then I can ask you a question, and it's connected with projection. So have a look at this. Of course, his button fails on him. All right, let's just try that. Did you see a young woman or an old woman?
Yeah,
saw both.
Jill?
Both. I saw both.
Ingrid?
Yeah, I saw an old first.
Old person? Lena?
Yeah.
a young one.
Young one? Fiona?
Oh, I saw the old one.
There we
But
go.
I think there is another one, but I could not see it. I needed more time.
Yeah.
So this is a beautiful way of how you can start a war. So between Ingrid and Lena, no, it wasn't a young one. You need glasses. It's an old one. No, you're crazy. Can't you see it's a young one? So, and some people have seen this before. So if you can't see the old one,
Oh no, I see the young one.
here's her nose, a hook nose, and her eye, her mouth, and her chin. This is big nose. Can you see the old one?
Yeah.
If you can't see the young one, here's her eyelash and her nose. She's looking to this side, and this is her ear.
I see.
She's quite an attractive young lady. So what happened there was that the brain is what sees and what projects. And he gets confused by that, and brain doesn't like to be confused. So it quickly comes to a summary: old, young. And if you know the psychology, you know there's two in there. And you could fight to death over that. And that's exactly, vaccines are good, vaccines are bad. What do you mean they're good? What do you mean they're bad? We're off and running. Now, this next one you'll probably see quicker now, and have a look at this one. Is that a young woman or an old woman?
A young one.
Young, Felina? Ingrid?
Yeah, now I see both of them.
Both? Jill?
Mm.
Yeah,
I can see
that.
both. Mm.
Yeah.
How about Bjorn?
Yeah, it's the same profile, more or less, like it was the first one. But now I saw first the young one, and then I saw the old one.
Lena, which one can you see?
I saw the young one first, and then the old one.
This is interesting, isn't it? Now we begin to learn about projection and begin to see both sides of it. And we could perhaps understand, you know, the fears of those who are heavily into vaccine. Oh, I see where you're coming from. Yeah, you believe governments and you believed your mum and dad all your life. And if I say it's wrong, you're telling me that the government's wrong and the health officials wrong. And that makes me feel very insecure. And so shut up. And then, you know, you feel what's going on, like, oh, yeah, of course, no wonder they're going to be scared. And that's what I think most of us find, you know, the more facts you give, no, that's young or that's old, the more upset they get because it's disturbing the security. Okay, good old projection. So here's a diagram from the course. What we do when we don't forgive. So the course says the ultimate purpose of projection is always to get rid of your guilt. The original guilt was, oh my God, we've killed God, knocked him off his throne, taken his power, moved out into a world of separation. Jesus said, if you could feel that guilt, you'd go psychotic. We had to throw it out. Eventually we threw it out into a whole universe where we could hide. And God can't find us, and everyone else is the problem. And he says you may not be aware of it, but you carry a tremendous guilt of separation. And that's translated into this world as I'm not good enough, other people are better than me, I've done bad things. And they were only aware of the tip of the iceberg of that guilt. And if we're not feeling the guilt, we're happy enough. And then someone comes around and says, God, you've got an ugly nose and you've never liked the nose. And up comes the guilt and you hate the guilt and you want to get rid of it. And the course says there's only two ways. You've got to, one, you must throw it out of your mind. That's where you're feeling it. Get it out of the mind. So you could project it or throw it onto other people as anger. And that's projection. So you feel better because I'm not the problem, they're the problem, they deserve attacking. That's one way of getting it out of the mind. The other way is to throw it on a different body, your body, which is sickness. Now your focus shifts from the mind to what's wrong with your body. You win because you're no longer conscious of the guilt in your mind. You're conscious of a problem outside your mind. That's the purpose of projection, is to get rid of the guilt onto other bodies or your body. And you'll feel better, even though your body may feel worse. And they may attack you back, which will stimulate your guilt again, so you get even more angry to throw even more guilt out. So in our COVID scenario, this is going backwards and forwards all the time. However, if we can state our position without guilt, then this diagram no longer applies. You're just stating your truth, and you allow their anger to be a call for your love. Or you might spot it. Look at our language. You make me sick to the stomach. You're a pain in the neck. You get up my nose. I don't know what expressions you have in your country. Can you tell me any? What you have? Do you have similar ones in Norway or Sweden for what you do? You make me sick to the stomach, for example.
I can't come up with something.
I can't remember just now.
Oh, perhaps we do it more in the English language. I'm sure we don't, though. So that,
You know, the one that I've stopped saying because I'm a bit afraid that it will actually happen. You know how we say, give yourself a break?
oh yes.
And
Oh,
I think, oh no, don't say that because I'll stop, you know, breaking a finger or something. And even though that's actually a good, you know, when you say that phrase, that's actually, you're kind of being nice to yourself, you know, I'll give myself a break, you know, I won't go and do that or whatever. But no, stop saying that.
and that's of course what some people do. They have to slow down and they do something. I don't know if I told you that story of a woman who was involved with the helping services, and she got involved with refugees who'd been tortured and had come to her country. And the need for help was enormous. And she was just tired out of her mind, but she couldn't stop because the need was so great. And she walked out of a shop one day and she stopped and prayed and said, please, God, stop me doing this. Just stop me doing this. And this four-wheel drive rode up over the pavement and drove over her foot. And she was in bed for weeks. And she said, thank God. Guilt in bed. And when I lived in that spiritual community, in quotes, Findhorn, for 20 years, we worked hard there. The only way you got a break was by getting sick, and you'd end up in your room, but everyone was new agey. So when you left the room, someone would say, oh, how did you get that disease? What's going on here? And you can't even leave the room. And I think I know what happened. It was the stuff you had on your boss the other day, or that in the end, she put a badge on her chest which said, please don't ask me about my disease.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. So projection. There's some quotes here that are rather good from the course. Let's have a look at a couple, and then we'll try next. Lesson 134. Perception is a mirror, not a fact. And what I look on is my state of mind reflected outward, which is a bit of a summary of what we just did, I think. What you project or extend is real to you. This is our immutable, unchangeable law of the mind in this world as well as in the kingdom. In the kingdom of heaven, we extend. In here, we project. So the extensions are we create like God, and we make our creations, which is impossible for us to understand because they're outside of time and space. But it seems one part of us is still extending quite nicely. And one day we'll see what we've extended and created. Every brother you meet becomes a witness for Christ or for the ego, depending on what you perceive in him. Everyone convinces you of what you want to perceive and the reality of the kingdom you have chosen for your vigilance. Once again, we look within and then we look without, and that's the proof. So we say, look, there it is. The what's that? The fulfillment prophecy. Everything you perceive is a witness to the thought system you want to be true. Every brother has the power to release you if you choose to be free. It's like when you forgive your greatest enemy because you realize, you know, that enemy's in you. Remember that cartoon we put up a week ago? We have found the enemy and it is Usen. Oh, it's a lovely one. What you project, you disown, and therefore you do not believe it's yours. I'm not like them. No way. Projection is solely a device of the ego to make you feel different from your brothers and separated from them. The ego justifies this on the grounds that it makes you seem better than they are. We've got the truth, thus obscuring your equality with them still further. Projection and attack are inevitably related because projection is always a means of justifying attack. Anger without projection is impossible. So there's an indicator. Every time I'm angry, I'm projecting. No exceptions, no righteous anger. Because that term righteous anger is often used as an excuse and as defense. Well, Jesus was angry when he tipped the tables over in the temple for the money changers. But he was in his ego. I think he was just being the big teacher with the big strokes. What you perceive in others, you're strengthening in yourself. And that's going to be either the Christ or the ego. The world demonstrates an ancient truth. You will believe that others do to you exactly what you think you did to them. Wow. But once deluded into blaming them, you will not see the cause of what they do because you want the guilt to rest on them. So Jesus never lets us off the hook. No anger is justified. An attack on your brother is because you attack something in yourself. And yet we might have all the evidence on our side. We might be scientifically right. But if we got those emotions, then forgiveness is needed. Okay, so I think we need to take this into some form of exercise, shall we? Forgive our brothers and sisters out there. And then we'll pair up and have a little share afterwards. So if you'd like to relax, take a few deep breaths. And with the next breath, just breathe into your legs and tense them and relax them as you breathe out. Breathe in and tense the muscles of the stomach and let go. Breathe in through the arms and make fists of the hands and relax. Breathe in and squeeze the shoulder blades together. And relax. If your head or neck feels a bit stiff, you can move your head around a bit. And now imagine a beautiful bubble of light, whatever color you like, forming around you. You feel safe and secure, and only the highest good can come through that lovely bubble. And this is the time for us to invite all those guides, all that love, all that healing that surrounds you. If you wish, you can use the names of Jesus or your guides or whatever, any symbol you like. Imagine there's a beautiful beam of light shining into your bubble, making it even brighter and into your body, into your mind. All your friends are with you now, those spirits of love and light. And you turn to them and say, what is it I need to heal? Is there something from my week that's just gone by, a conversation, an interaction? And show me a picture. Or is it something I'm feeling about myself? Something I don't feel good about in myself, some fear, sadness, lack of self-worth. And if emotions come, that's good. It's all right to feel upset, angry, or sad, whatever. They can't harm the Christ that you are, that eternal formal spirit. Where in the body are you feeling this disturbance? You might want to bring the conversation back that you had, or something you saw or heard, or a low feeling about yourself. Just make it real in your body. And welcome it. It's something you created. It's your child. And your guides are happy that you found it, because they know you can't heal it until you can see it and accept it. And if it helps, and if you can put a hand over that part of the body in acceptance. You can tell it's all right that you're there. I made you. I did it for some reason, though I may not remember now, but I made you. You're a child of mine. I must have made you for some reason. Doesn't really matter anymore. You're there. Have a good look at it, how big it is in the body, where it starts and stops. Does it have a shape? Does it lie on the surface of the body, or does it go deeper in? Any color there? Is it the same color all over? Does it feel any hotter or colder than the rest of the body? Now let's feel into the emotion. What does it feel like? See it for a moment as a small distressed child, one you haven't given proper attention to. Just let it speak to you. Ask it, how are you feeling? You've got a message for me, haven't you? Why did I make you? Why am I keeping you? As it talks, perhaps you can just pick it up and hold it by your heart, but continue to listen. Ask it, why am I afraid to let you go, to give you freedom? Why am I keeping you like this? What's my biggest fear in letting you go, in letting you be free? Is it time to be free now? Or do you still need this child? It helps you in some way. It protects you. Be honest. Is it time to be free or not? That's all right. If you do feel it's time to move on, to be free, to let a new energy come into your life, great. Otherwise, make the child very small and just put it into your heart and look down with love and acceptance, ready for the time when it will be free to go. If you've chosen freedom, call in your angels, your guides. They come forward, smiling at you, their arms open, and the child is very happy to see them. They'll run into their arms. You'll feel a lightness come into you. Breathe in the light of spirit, the beautiful light, into the space where the child once lived, where that tension was. Breathe in the light and breathe out any remaining tension and see that just change into light as a blessing, because it's all energy. And before you, there's two doors. One door opens onto the world where you kept the child, and one door opens onto a world where you've let the child go. A new energy has come into you, and you feel free. What's that new road look like? How do you feel walking down it? The guides walk with you, and you feel strongly they're with you every moment of the day, just waiting to be asked. How you can see things differently, how you can change your projections. And we give a thank you to the world, that great mirror, showing what's still unhealed in us. So we can bless our so-called enemies, our mirrors. We couldn't see what's in us that needs healing without them. Take as long as you need to feel complete with the exercise as far as you've gone. Then when you're ready, you can come back into the room. Good. Come back. So I'll stop the recording. Start with.
You hear me?
Welcome back.
Okay. Then I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say to Lena before I disappeared into the Dawson universe that I was with the little child, and I've been having a lot of infection in my right arm lately. That's I use for writing or expressing, and I suddenly got like a little connection, maybe because the little child, she said that she didn't feel it was safe to express herself. Doesn't feel safe.
Mm.
And that's exactly how my week has been too. If I say something, I get attacked, I feel, very often, because everything I say is politically incorrect in every way it is, So I feel like I'm just upsetting people just being me. I'm an upset. I'm a hiccup in people's world.
Yeah.
So that's, of course, is a bit uncomfortable. But I told the child that I could express in a way and still keep her safe. And I don't really know how to do that in a proper way. I think I have to figure that out, so I can express and not get like attacked.
Well, something just came to me. And I could try this myself. If I suddenly get into a conversation like, "Are you an anti-vaxxer, Michael?" I could say, "I need you, Jesus, at this moment. please make a threesome." And what would you like me to say? And how would you like me to say it? Of course, the ego will be normally the first response, like, "Well, I know what to say." But if I can just breathe in and say, "Oh," because he's always saying that, isn't he? To invite him into everything, not to do it all by yourself. We're all here. Please invite us. The hardest thing, I think, was just to remember to do that, because you get this impulse, don't you? The attack comes or whatever, and then you go, attack Jesus. Right. I think it only takes a fraction of a second, and they're there. They've been given permission. And then the next thing I'd have to remember is, I don't know what to say. You'll have to say it. And that's the way I work more successfully in healing sessions. I go in really not knowing what to do. I have certain techniques and approaches, and I've often likened that to a piano keyboard. There's my techniques, counseling, guided journeys, and all of this sort of thing. And then there's the person sitting opposite me. And I sort of go quiet, and then doing, listen. All right. So you just sit there for another 5 minutes, listen to the person. Should I do something? Doing, more listening, right? And then doing something else, or let's explore this or that, or lay down or lay on hand. So you got the techniques, and then you just pass them over, and they know when to use them. Because a great technique at the wrong time spoils everything. Oh, this worked last time, I'll do it now. And so if I can remember that in my day-to-day life, it's still a healing session. What do I say and do? That's my 2 pence. Let us know in a fortnight. I'll try to, because it might be say nothing, just say, have a nice day, and don't even start the conversation. It's going to be nowhere quick. And that's a possibility, which my ego doesn't consider, because I've got rather a lot of data that's rather good. But Jesus says, just say goodbye and smile. It's been nice meeting you.
Yeah. You learn if you know the people, if you I have learned to know some neighbors here, and I can feel this neighbor I can talk to with things like that, about the world situation and so on. And they are open. I can feel they are open-minded. And the rest of people, some people you can't talk about these things. And it just creates anger and it's not beneficial for anybody.
Yeah.
Not for me and not for them. No.
Amen. Peter. Amen. I think I've just got a feeling after what I was talking, like, oh my God, it is actually simpler than we think. The problem is we like to be in control and think we know what to do. And really, every instant is so complex. Relationships are so complex. Have to go moment by moment with guidance. Otherwise, we end up in trouble so quickly. And then just to remember to do that. I had this feeling coming over me of how simple my life could be. The attack comes, whatever. I just sort of breathe in a moment and say, Jesus, what do I do? It's less than, he's there, he tells you. And that's the end of all struggle and strife in my life.
Well, that's all very well for you to say, Michael. But, Mona and I were just saying that. Well, actually, it may have been me. Actually, I won't bring you into it. I said that actually in the Sedona, in one of the sessions, they said, we're always there, but you have to ask, and you actually have to want it. So, say you want to stop doing something, you have to actually say, no, I don't want this anymore. And then, God, please help me. So you have to make the decision that you don't want to do something anymore. You don't want to react in a certain way, and then they will help you. So in a similar vein, so I was thinking, well, I've asked about this, that, and the other, but it never seems that I get an answer. And so what you're saying is, oh, well, that could make my life so simple. And indeed, it could, if you can hear what's being said. And I don't know whether, in a similar way, when I ask for help, maybe I don't really want the help. I think I do. I think I want the help. Is it that I don't, and that's why I don't seem to get any?
That feels gold, Jill, because as you were speaking, it was dawning on me too that if they're speaking the truth, then what it implies is that we're saying, give me the help, but on my terms, or I want this outcome. And we may not even be aware. And there's quite a bit in the course about that we want answers within a specific range. So my relationship has fallen apart. My wife is thinking of leaving me. Jesus, help me. How do I stop my wife leaving me? I will now listen. And he's trying to say, actually, Michael, it's time she did leave you. But you can't hear that. And so you're now going to say, well, I don't receive guidance.
Yeah. So true. So true. Yeah.
There are other
Yeah,
lots. That's what's going on. Be honest.
Yeah, just along that, you're not prepared to do the changes that are necessary.
Yeah.
I can feel that in my own life, some things.
Well, actually, I'll come up with a list of, I'll accept 4 or 5. I'll give more attention to my wife. I'll take her out more. I'll be a better lover. I'll increase the money, and I'll clean the house more. Which of those 5 do you want me to do, Jesus? Actually, leave.
a little bit of a
wondering-
worry, though, isn't it, really? That, you know, you've been doing this for so long and you still think, you know, better, or you don't really want to change, or whatever it is. That's gonna depress me. That'll be something to forgive.
But what about the bigger picture? I mean, we think we've been doing this so long. I've been 20 years with A Course in Miracles, and I've got these insights, and I'm still not listening. How about 20,000 lifetimes you haven't been listening? And this is the golden lifetime. You're beginning to see that I'm setting this all up. I'm not really listening. This is amazing. This is a breakthrough. What an insight I'm getting. I mean, you know, compare one with the other. Jesus said in the Course at one point, what you think has been your greatest steps forward has often been your greatest steps backwards. And what you think has been your greatest step backwards and mistakes has been your greatest step forward. You've just seen the games you're playing and you feel bad about it. And the angels are jumping up and down and clapping their hands and saying, at last, 20,000 lives. And now they're seeing the game they've been playing.
I guess it's how to stop playing the game, though, isn't it? Like, I mean, Jesus says, or someone says, probably A Course in Miracles, we only need you to have a little willingness. Doesn't it say something like that?
Exactly. And that's hard for us. Yeah. I want it my way. I want it my way.
Yeah, I can relate to that, because I want my family to get what I'm saying. I want them to have my mindset.
Mm.
I want them to get the info I say, because I know it's right. I could have published it if I was working as a journalist or something. So I want them to get it. So I'm like force feeding them information they never really asked to have in the first place.
Mm.
And I keep doing it, and I keep doing it and doing it, because I want them to be grateful. And I also, yesterday, I understood that I also wanted them to be appreciative of my effort to do in doing so. I was feeling a bit upset. Why can they not appreciate what I'm doing for them? Don't they understand this is like a really difficult situation to be by myself? I'm one, and this is the group that it's uncomfortable here. Hello, appreciate that I'm here, and what do you say, not provoking you, but in a way provoking, I guess. So I have a mindset of how I want them to be. You know, I will have peace when they understand me.
Ingrid, that's wonderful insights. The angels are jumping up and down again, saying, hallelujah. Isn't that wonderful to see?
Yeah.
So true. If you can get that far, you're near the end of the journey, I think. Because at one point you say, this is stupid. Why do I keep doing this? I think I'll ask Jesus what he would say through me.
I think it's really hard to leave people alone.
Yeah.
If I feel like I could help them in any way. But I just have to back off, I guess.
I think there's wisdom needed here. I think I've mentioned this before. You know, your best friend is a blind man. He's so independent. He wants no help, no advice. And you're walking along a cliff and you look to one side, you see a rabbit, and you turn around and he's just about to walk off the cliff. Do you say, well, he's always told me never to give him advice or help. He's very self-sufficient. Or do you shout out, John, stop, you're about to go off the cliff? Well, you would shout out, John, stop, you're going off the cliff. And he'll say, I've told you before not to talk to me. I'm glad I said that to John. He's dead. But just think the guilt I would live with, you know, that I never warned him. And I want to warn him, feeling peaceful. John, you're about to go off the cliff. Bye, John. Or my children, you really want to take these boosters? Okay, go off the cliff. And then Jesus says, you don't actually know that what results from that is just what they wanted to learn in this life. They become sick, They become very ill and they spend 5 years recovering, and they have this golden insight. My God, I'll never listen to authority again. I'll make up my own mind and my own decision. And that illness has taught me that. And if we stop that, they've lost that lesson. So the wisdom and the compassion you need for all of this. But the other thing, of course, says your guidance will always tell you by whether you feel good or bad. So if we're feeling bad trying to educate my children all the time, I know I'm in my ego. So I don't. I just send them Dad's last nag or an occasional bit. You know, if they don't reply, which they don't, I thought, that's all right. One day, something may, and they may be sick, they might be dead next year. I don't know. That's it. I've done my best. So be it. Maybe they're supposed to die next year. Big ones, aren't they? Big ones.
So,
Well, another great session. Anything before we finish? Anyone has anything they want to say? What a lovely group. I can talk like this and share like this and challenge. Yeah. Well, this session's made me feel better because I've had a bit of a difficult day too. And that insight that you triggered, Ingrid, you know, come on, ask Jesus. That's all he keeps saying. Ask us. Ask the right mind. Ask the Holy Spirit. You're all insane down there. You think your body's, look, we can tell you what to do and where to go and when to shut up and when to speak. Just try us out. You're no good. You can go back to your ego.
Yeah.
Well, I'm taking that from the session. I can feel it in my heart, like a sort of peace. So I brought into mind some woman I had difficulty with yesterday, and I thought, there's just a little smile there now. Like, I don't know. Next time I see her, I'll try and ask Jesus what I say to her. And oh God, I'm off the hook. I don't have to rehearse anything or think anything. You know, do what you do in a healing session, Michael. Just let them take over. Good one. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
The four Christs. Thank you, the four Christs.
Yeah.
Anyone else before we finish?
No. And I shared with Ingrid a forgiveness lesson I had this not so long ago, a month ago, because of a friend I had 25 years ago. And I was very angry at her, and I accused her of, well, of things that I thought was very righteous just then. But we have mutual friends, and this has made me very sad. And I have had this wish to forgive myself for doing this for many years. And now, just a month ago, I was invited with our mutual friend to pick some berries in her garden. And then some day after, she came to me with a part of the tree we were picking the berries from. And I have my freezer full of these berries. And it seems I have forgiven myself for this I did to her, and she is feeling she must, because she made the invitation, so she must have felt this, and I'm very glad it went this way.
Oh.
So yeah, it was a forgiveness lesson, really. Yeah,
That's beautiful. You remind me of a workshop I was giving at Findhorn, and someone came up to me with a story. We were doing a forgiveness exercise and said, Michael, yesterday we did that forgiveness exercise, and it was to do with someone who for years we haven't talked. And I really felt that I did forgive her. And you know, that night the telephone rang and it was her. And she hasn't spoken to me for, 10, 15 years. And we, for the first time, we could talk. And I thought, oh, that line in the course that all minds are joined. So when you did that forgiveness, it went zap. And then, amazing, eh? Beautiful. Thank you. Edward? Okay, lovely people. Soon, eh? I'll post the video. Great. Bye for now.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.